This is Crystal Hefner.
Hi guys, welcome to another behind the scenes episode at the Playboy Mansion.
Hugh Hefner, the founder of the Playboy empire, apparently created secret diaries and scrapbooks containing intimate details and pictures of all the girls and women he slept with in his life, including when they had their period. And just this week, his widow, Crystal, announced at her lawyer Gloria Allred's office they're taking legal action against the foundation that owns them to stop them being uploaded to the internet without their consent.
Hi guys, welcome to the bedroom. I'm going to show you a place that no one sees but you. I'm speaking today for myself and for countless other women whose naked and sexually explicit images are being kept without our consent in approximately 3,000 scrapbooks, which belong to my late husband, Hugh Hefner. It is critical for the public to understand that I'm not referring to images that appeared in magazines. My focus is on how Hugh Hefner's personal scrapbooks chronicle private moments that took place behind closed doors. There are serious and unresolved concerns about the scope of what these books contain. The materials span decades, beginning in the 1960s, and may include images of girls who were underage at the time and could not consent to how their images would be retained or controlled. They may also contain images of women who did not consent to their images being taken in the first place. The scrapbooks include nude images, images taken before, after, and during sexual activity, and other deeply intimate moments. They contain intimate material involving women who are now mothers, grandmothers, professionals, and private citizens who have spent decades building their lives with no idea these images were still being hoarded. I believe they include women and possibly girls who never agreed to lifelong private possession of their naked images and who have no transparency into where their photos are, how they are being stored, or what will happen to them next. These are the reasons why I am filing complaints with the Attorneys General of California and Illinois and requesting that they initiate an investigation into how these images are being handled and stored. This is not historical documentation. This is the cataloging and objectification of women's most private details. Today, I am told the scrapbooks are in a storage facility in California. However, I was previously told that some of the scrapbooks could be inside a private residence to be scanned and digitized. This is not archival preservation. This is not history. This is control. I am deeply worried about these images getting out. Artificial intelligence, deepfakes, digital scanning, online marketplaces, and data breaches mean that once images leave secure custody, the harm is irreversible. A single security failure could devastate thousands of lives. These materials are now being kept under the guise of a charitable organization, the Hugh M. Hefner Foundation, which publicly claims to stand for civil rights and civil liberties. The hypocrisy is as disturbing as it is obvious. I stayed involved with the Hugh M. Hefner Foundation in part because I'm worried about these books and the women in them, and I hope the harm could finally be addressed. Instead, I was asked to resign from my role on the Foundation's board and was excluded from the Foundation's decision-making. The concerns I raised about consent, safety, and security were ignored. Though I declined to resign my position, yesterday, in direct response to my escalating concerns regarding the handling of private photos contained in the scrapbooks, I was unilaterally removed from my position as the Chief Executive Officer / President of the Foundation. Unlike me, the people who have custody of these scrapbooks do not have their own naked images in these books. They are not personally exposed, and they are not personally at risk. The burden and the danger fall entirely on us, the women in the photos. Women have the right to bodily autonomy. We have the right to control our own likeness. We have the right to say that intimate images created under unequal conditions do not get to follow us for the rest of our lives. This is not about money. I am seeking dignity, safety, and the destruction of non-consensual intimate materials so that the exploitation does not continue under the banner of philanthropy. Thousands of women may be affected. This is a civil rights issue. Women's bodies are not property, not history, and not collectibles. And no organization should be allowed to claim the language of civil rights while denying women their most basic one, the right to control their own bodies and images. Thank you.
Thank you. So the Playboy empire was actually built on using the nude images of Marilyn Monroe without her consent, taken before she was really well known when she was financially struggling. Marilyn Monroe used a false name to pose for these pictures. She did not want them to be publicized, and without ever asking her or paying her one penny, he negotiated the rights to publish the images and create his empire. He wanted to make porn legal, and he used her image to launch his magazine, and he never gave her anything. He cared so little for her rights that he went and paid $75,000 so he could be buried next to her.
She had done these cheesecake calendar photos where, as she put it, she had nothing on but the radio.
I didn't have a lot of money to spend on publicity.
Right.
And then I learned from a story in the local newspaper that Marilyn Monroe had posed for these nude calendar photos, and people had heard about the pictures, but almost nobody had seen them because the post office took the position that you could not send nudity through the mail. And I was the kid who didn't believe the post office had that right. So I learned simultaneously that the calendar company, John Baumgarth, that owned the rights to that image, was located out on the northwest side of Chicago, very close to where I grew up. So I drove out on North Avenue in my beat-up 1940 Chevy and convinced him that it would be good publicity. And he sold me the rights to reproduce the nude image for $500. I got a very good bargain.
Marilyn Monroe was the first cover?
Mm-hmm. Very first Playmate of the Month, very first cover. And kind of set the standard.
Did she come in, or did you see pictures?
No, the picture was something that had been shot before. It was a calendar photo shot by Tom Kelly. Most people had heard about it, but almost nobody had seen it. And nobody had seen it because the post office had taken the position that you couldn't send nudity through the mail. And I'm the kid that didn't think the post office had that right. So we published that picture, and it caused a sensation.
And it sold 50,000 copies, which astounded him.
My name is Hugh Hefner. I'm 35 years of age, and I'm editor-publisher of Playboy magazine. I started with a personal investment of $600. In 8 years, I've built an empire worth $20 million. Basic concept for it, the things that Playboy represents, are the dreams that I myself had as a youngster as I was growing up. The big, wild, wonderful world of sophistication, urbanity, sports cars, food and drink, beautiful women.
I am very, very selfish. I'm very self-oriented, and I think that everybody should be. Intelligent self-interest is for the good of everyone. The person who spends all of their time thinking about others accomplishes almost nothing.
So when you look at the timeline of the Playboy brand history, aside from aligning with abusive predators under the guise of freedom of speech,
I think the major thing that set Deep Throat apart was its sense of humor. It was a sex comedy.
He was an advocate for sexual freedom and the First Amendment.
And he really did believe he owned these women.
I have extensive electronic equipment in the house, which includes videotape equipment. Sometimes things happen in the bedroom.
exploiting young women or girls many of whom had been victims of SA as children, was really what helped maintain the brand for as long as it did. When Hefner was in his 40s, he dated an 18-year-old girl who was an extra on the set of his TV show, Barbie Benton.
While I was sitting reading my book, and he asked me out.
The first time Hef asked me out, I said I'd never dated anyone over 24, and he said, neither have I.
He was 42 at the time.
Hefner was smitten by the 18-year-old UCLA co-ed. He suggested changing her name to one better suited to a theater marquee, Barbie Benton.
Tell me, whose idea was this 9-page pictorial?
Well, he suggested it, and I just decided that I should do it. I don't find anything wrong with nudity if it's done in good taste.
As magazine sales declined in the 2000s, he moved into reality shows, and girls were hired to play his live-in girlfriends, many of whom were still teenagers. It was always the girl's morality that was questioned, not his. And in one very awkward episode, his ex Barbie Benton was brought back in, and they watched her playing his girlfriend 30 years ago on Playboy TV.
Good evening. Welcome. I'm Hefner, your host, and welcome to the party. You know Barbie Benton? Connie Kresge?
She was dating somebody else that was married at the time.
Connie?
I hope you forgot.
I don't know if I've forgotten or not. I don't make a connection.
Very nice. If you don't mind, I brought Barbie a little present.
Isn't the one with the Hefner?
It's so cute.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
It's a Hef doll, a baby Hef.
A baby
Oh,
Hef?
it's really cute.
I didn't have a role on Playboy After Dark. I was hired to be Atmosphere.
Who you are?
The guy that was playing the piano.
I don't remember his name, but he was the regular.
Even though Barbie was more famous than me, I'm not really jealous of the situation in the present tense because she's too old for him now, I guess. Sorry.
Till next week. Good night.
These are my girls right here. There are other playmates and some of the former girlfriends are on the show as well, but these are my girlfriends. It's helped to expand the brand, particularly with women. The big surprise, and it's on a global level, is that the majority of the users are female. So it's wonderful.
We had to follow the rules, and he had to perform certain obligations to us. We got the allowance, he paid for certain things for us, covered insurance, bought us cars. He needed us to be at his side and look pretty.
Yeah.
Right? So, and we
trade.
So it was a trade. It was understood. I mean, we just knew that we lived in his world and we had to follow the rules.
The Secrets of Playboy documentary series was released in January 2022. Many women who had been involved with Hugh Hefner in the Playboy world came forward with stories of what really went on in the Playboy empire. And most of it is not good.
In the final season of the show, two twins, Carissa and Christina Shannon, played two of Hef's girlfriends.
Hi, I'm Christina. I'm Carissa.
We're about to hear a side of their story that they have never told until today. So you came to the mansion thinking we're going to be centerfolds, I'm going to be on a TV show, we're going to live in the mansion, but the reality was different than the fantasy. How old were you?
17.
17.
Mm-hmm.
So you're underage.
Underage, yeah.
Asked if you would be willing to take nude pictures to send to Playboy.
Yeah. Correct.
Hugh Hefner offers you a pill,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of pills.
Mm-hmm.
Do you take them?
Yeah. Yeah.
You took them.
Yeah.
He's 83, you're 19.
Correct.
So did you think that you would be having sex with Hugh Hefner that night?
No.
You guys, I went to the mansion when I was 20 and 21, and I first met him when I was 20. He came in for like an open mouth kiss, and I went like this, and it was like a dog slobber on me, but I could tell he did not like that I turned my head. I remembered how repulsive it was to be on the receiving end of that. I can't believe that you had to put up with that as long as you did. Do you feel better now than you did this morning?
100%. Yeah, I feel better. Yeah, telling our story. It's a lot to process, too.
So most people watching the reality shows in the 2000s and buying the Playboy merch and clothing that was being promoted as a brand of female empowerment. Even kids thought the Playboy bunny was cute, were completely unaware of the real dark and abusive history of the Playboy brand, where violent crimes against women and young girls and sex trafficking had been normalized in the name of moving civil rights forward with the Hugh Hefner Foundation. But then in 2022, many of his ex-girlfriends and playmates and employees spoke out in a 10-part series, The Secrets of Playboy, on A&E, about many terrible things that Hugh Hefner had been responsible for and covered up. Everything about the brand was fake. He was worse than Andrew Tate.
There was a secret world. Playboy was all about powerful men preying on beautiful young women. The playmates.
It was like they were pimping us out.
The bunnies.
Girls were muffled, discarded.
Let's not forget the girlfriends.
It was a manipulation from the beginning, groomed us all.
Hefner provided drugs for the women.
I just kept moving my boundaries.
He asked me, he said, "Do you like snuff films?"
Linda Lovelace was drugged, and out of nowhere, a German Shepherd shows up.
Really, he was a monster. The things that he got turned on by.
Girls were passed around to Hefner's friends.
They were shuffled off into the shadow mansions.
VIPs assaulted and raped young women.
There was a very powerful team protecting them.
What is it about Playboy that leads so many women to tragedy?
There was nothing in the relationship with Dorothy that I am less than proud of.
I found Paige dead.
We don't believe Adrian's death was a suicide.
Playboy was dangerous to women. It all went back to Hugh Hefner.
I woke up with him on top of me. Hef was a predator.
Hefner and his friends ruined women's lives.
Who are you going to tell when they're all doing it?
He didn't take no for an answer. I'm Hugh Hefner. I take what I want.
We have to come forward with the truth.
Crystal Hefner did not take part in the program. Crystal Hefner was married to Hugh Hefner when he died in 2017. By that time, she was acting more like a carer than a girlfriend, but she was made to sign a prenuptial agreement before they got married. But he did make her a trustee of his Hugh Hefner Foundation. And in 2022, she did write her own memoir detailing her negative experiences under his coercion and control until he died. She was made to promise him she would never say anything negative about Playboy.
As I understand, before Hugh Hefner died, he said, "Promise me you would, quote, only say good things." Take me to that moment when he told you that.
When Hef was getting older, before he passed away, he put me on the board of his foundation, and he made me promise that I would only say good things about him after he was gone. Over time, I realized he wanted to control the narrative. He controlled the narrative.
Did you think that at the time when he asked you that he's trying to control what I will do after he's gone?
A little bit, but it's not until I had more space that I fully understood.
That's why this is such a powerful novel, because I can tell in reading that you needed that space. You needed that time, that distance between his death and processing all of really what happened over the course of your life. You met at a Halloween party?
Yes, Halloween party 2008. I was 21 and Hef was 81.
21 and 81.
We are in our secret storage facility here at the HMH Foundation. What you see is Hef's entire collection of scrapbooks. There are over 3,000 of them. He basically kept a record of his life from birth till death, which is very impressive. I've never seen anything like this ever. And they're all in order, and there's an index so you can find what you're looking for by year, and he kept just incredible records of his entire life. I'll show you some of the scrapbooks. Why not start at the beginning at scrapbook number 1?
We are asking that the Attorneys General initiate a prompt and thorough investigation of the Hugh M. Hefner Foundation's actions with regard to the late Hugh Hefner's collection of approximately 3,000 personal scrapbooks containing thousands of nude images of women, as well as Hefner's diary containing highly personal information regarding his sexual exploits, including names of women he slept with, notes describing the sex acts that they performed, and in some instances, even information tracking women's menstrual cycles. It is our honor to represent Crystal Hefner, who is not only Hugh Hefner's widow, but she's also a brilliant, outspoken advocate for women's rights. Crystal did not consent to having her intimate images stored by and accessible to the foundation. And we believe that many of the other women and or girls depicted did not consent either. After she voiced her concerns yesterday, Crystal was unilaterally removed as the chief executive officer of the foundation. Crystal has therefore courageously chosen to speak out on this issue today, not only on her own behalf, but on behalf of thousands of other women and possibly girls.
Hefner established the Playboy Foundation, a corporate giving program committed to furthering personal freedom and social justice.
Hefner spent years grinding out 25 installments of the Playboy philosophy, arguing for women's access to birth control and abortion, and repeal of 19th century sex laws like sodomy.
One of the purposes of that was to change the laws. And by God, he did it over time. I mean, I'm not saying he's solely responsible, but somebody had to start that ball rolling, and I think that ball was started by Hugh Hefner.
Letters poured in from readers, leading Hefner to create the Playboy Forum and the Playboy Foundation to support First Amendment rights. He championed Lenny Bruce after he was arrested for obscenity at the Gate of Horn nightclub. One of many trials the boundary-pushing comedian faced.
He stayed at the Chicago mansion, and Playboy's lawyer would give him a fresh shirt to wear to trial.
He was doing his crazy stuff. I was just looking the other way. Like on Pig Night, I remember finding out what was going on, because he said, I'm going to be busy in the early part of the evening. Some people are coming over. And then somebody told me what it was. It was a butler. He said, it's Pig Night. And I said, what?
Every Thursday night, Hefner had 2 pimps bring up 5 or 6 girls each in their cars.
It was girls that they would pick up on Sunset Strip. At that time, Sunset Boulevard was a very big prostitution place. That's where you went to pick up somebody.
It was called Pig Night, but we as butlers were always told, do not call them pigs. This was Hefner's term for them. I don't know why he called them pigs.
Thursday night was Pig Night, when the guys on the mansion list were expected to bring women. They were ranked. There was a hierarchy of whether you were a 10 or an 8 or a 6.
They would come up and go into the big dining room, and Hefner's friends and comrades and different stars, movie stars, television stars, would sit around the table with them. And as the butlers, we would serve them dinner. They were told, order anything you want. Hefner would sit at the head of the table. He would never eat dinner with them. He would smoke a pipe and observe the girls.
When I found out about it, I went down to bedroom 4 where I could look out where they were all laughing and getting drinks and making these girls feel special.
One at a time, the girls were escorted into the front bathroom where the doctor would inspect them for anything that would be detrimental to any of his friends. The girls that passed muster would have sex with the different friends of Hefner.
Gloria Allred has represented many of Bill Cosby's child victims, some of whom were playmates or were assaulted at the mansion. Her action encouraged more of his victims to come forward, and she previously won a case against him.
Mr. Cosby did sexually assault her when she was a minor, and that he should be held and was held accountable.
As Gloria and Crystal have pointed out, The people who now own and work for the Hugh H. Hefner Trust have nothing to do with his family or his original organisation. They want to profit out of this highly personal and intimate private material without these people even knowing.
I think it's an important message to other survivors of child sexual abuse that you can sue, assert your claim even decades after you were sexually abused as a child.
Bill Cosby, who is now 84 years old, denies the allegations, while his crisis manager, Andrew Wyatt, fiercely defends him.
Why are you going after a black icon, our black icon, Miss Allred? And look, what Gloria Allred has always tried to do, she's a self-proclaimed, self-righteous civil rights attorney who has never done anything but go after black men for wealth if they got fame.
I always feel that people who engage in personal attacks and name-calling do so because they really don't have a good argument.
Cosby has denied every allegation of wrongdoing. Playboy, which is under new ownership, issued a statement of support for the women in the documentary. Today's Playboy is not Hugh Hefner's Playboy. We trust and validate these women and their stories, and we strongly support those individuals who have come forward to share their experiences.
Today's Playboy is no different to the Playboy of Hugh Hefner, although it would seem like they are trying to distance themselves from him. The only way the foundation could validate and support the women who have come forward would be to listen to Crystal and not do anything with the private material. Instead of sacking her, they haven't done that. And so now it lies with the court to make the right decision. And let's hope they do before they hurt more women.